tense scene outside a residence tied to the suspect in the deadly shooting rampage in Maine tonight. After more than 24 hours of an urgent manhunt to track down Robert Card, the man wanted in the mass shooting that left 18 dead, authorities zeroing in on this house. SWAT teams descending, helicopters overhead.
It is standard procedure to try to get the person to engage with you. And then with a dialogue, you've at least increased your chances that you can end this peacefully.
However, Card was not found. Is the latest in the all-out effort to find the person authorities say committed the senseless violence that rocked Maine and the nation.
To respond to the town of Wilson for 2 active shooter locations, all available units.
On Wednesday night, a gunman opened fire with an assault-style rifle, first at a bowling alley and then a bar. 2 places authorities say he may have had personal connection to.
This city did not deserve this terrible assault on its citizens, on its peace of mind, on its sense of security. No city does, no state, no people.
The suspect, a 40-year-old divorced father who was an Army reservist with a history of mental health struggles, raising questions about missed signals.
As sometimes people say they never see this coming, with Robert Card, people clearly saw troubling signs. His family painted a picture of a troubled individual with a history of mental illness.
After the shooting, authorities say the suspect fled, triggering a frantic search.
Mr. Card is considered armed and dangerous, and police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Parts of Maine like a ghost town. Residents ordered to shelter in place. Schools and many stores closed. The grief for those who lost loved ones, palpable.
Your whole body, everything goes out of you. Your heart goes flip-flop, and it feels like there's a vice in you. Your head can't take it, and you just feel like you're going to blow up.
My colleague David Muir talking to Leroy Walker, his son Joseph, killed in the shooting. Leroy, a local councilman, says state police told the family his son was a hero and tried to stop the gunman.
It's just hard. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring.
I'm sorry.
The massacre began just before 7 p.m. on Tuesday night at a local bowling alley called Just in Time, formerly called Spare Time.
We were inside and just one night of bowling, and out of nowhere he just came in and there was a loud pop.
2 active shooter locations, all available units.
Yeah, been active shooter. We have multiple injuries.
There was a youth program underway, so there were kids bowling with their parents, many of them, when the first shots were fired.
Megan Hutchinson and her 10-year-old daughter Zoe were there.
Between the lanes, there's some swinging doors, like where they keep all the mechanical stuff out back. We barricaded in there, and another parent was in the room with me. She had a phone. She called 911.
Zoe's leg grazed by a bullet.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg, and it's just like, why? Like, why do people do this? I was more worried about, am I gonna live? Am I gonna make it out of here? What's gonna happen? Are the cops gonna come?
Tammy Asselin and her 10-year-old daughter Tony were also at the bowling alley last night when the shooting started.
I started to walk towards that sound when I heard a second one and started seeing people running, and some people running down the bowling alley, the slippery bowling alley. Unfortunately, some of them didn't make it.
To me, it was traumatizing because I just saw this dude sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden I see blood fly everywhere, and he fell to the ground, and he wasn't moving.
It didn't feel real. It didn't feel real at all.
Trapped, seconds turned to minutes. Minutes turned into what felt like hours.
We were stuck in the corner, basically sitting ducks.
They narrowly escaped, but lost their cousin.
Her name was Trisha, and she was a fun-loving, she was bubbly, she was always ready for some fun. She actually works at the bowling alley too, so we would see her when we would go.
The second shooting scene, a pool hall and bar, Shemangi's, is about 4 miles from the bowling alley. People reportedly enjoying a night of cornhole. From her hospital bed, Jennifer Zanka telling us she was having dinner with friends when the shooting began.
When I turned around, we all turned around and realized what was happening. We dropped to the ground. And that's when I think I was shot in the arm.
She had been shot, and this retired nurse still escaped through the back door.
I kept my hand on my arm like a tourniquet because it was bleeding pretty heavily. And I went to hide behind the dumpster. There was another gentleman there. But I knew I needed to get help.
Rushed to the hospital, a doctor she used to work with, now operating on her.
I was one of the lucky ones. If the bullet had been in either direction, I definitely would not have survived.
Robin Payne lives down the street from the bar and grill, her camera capturing the chaos unfolding at the crime scene in real time. Payne sheltered in place.
So when I found out this was an active shooter event, I was very worried. I'm a single parent, and our house is so close where I could see everything happening.
The Lewiston resident shocked a mass shooting hitting so close to home, a state where mass shootings are almost unheard of. Just last year, the state reporting 29 homicides, 15 of them connected to domestic violence.
Lewiston, Maine is a hardworking, blue-collar kind of town. People have a lot of grit and strength and determination, but they're also very close-knit, and they come together in times of tragedy.
Last night, authorities found a white Subaru belonging to the suspect in Lisbon, Maine, miles from the Lewiston crime scene at a boat launch. Inside, a firearm recovered. Card owns a boat. Authorities not ruling out that he could have used a boat to escape. The Coast Guard is searching the Kennebec River. Investigators also finding a suicide note today at Card's home written to his son.
Law enforcement won't share the rest of it, but they basically stated that there are ramblings, which would totally fit based on what we know about this suspect. Probably rantings and ravings about what he doesn't like or who he perceives would be his enemies.
The Army confirming to ABC News, Card has been a reservist since December 2002. Card, a sergeant first class who never deployed for combat. This summer, Card was deployed to Camp Smith Training Center in upstate New York to help support summer training for West Point cadets.
Some of his fellow soldiers reported him to be behaving erratically. It appears he may have been making threats, we're told, against some of his fellow soldiers. That got him an intervention with military authorities. He was also in treatment for at least 2 weeks this past summer based on hearing voices in his head and threatening to kill a National Guard base in Saco, Maine, where he may have also had military ties.
Back in Maine, a community in mourning. At least 8 of the 18 victims have been identified. They include a youth bowling coach, a mother who rushed to call 911, and the manager of the bar and restaurant where so many lives were lost. Those who survived still reeling from the tragedy.
I'm just glad everybody here is okay. But now it's the process of dealing with what she and I saw. I'm just thankful that we made it out.